Krafty Friends, this is Jen from Katahdin Crafts, and I am super excited to be October's guest designer for Not Too Shabby. Things I love about this online shop is that they carry so many of my favorite stamp companies, so it's like a one-stop shop opportunity. And then they have fabulous customer service and super fast shipping. When I place an order, generally it ships that same day. And if you are like me, that works well because I am super impatient when I order something. I want to play with it right then and there. And Not Too Shabby also has their own line of stamps. They have clear stamps and digital stamps. And today I'm working with one of theirs, and it's called Happy Halloween. And it's chock full of cuteness, and bless you to Boo, who just sneezed in the background. That was my little model that was there at the front. To start off my card today, I used a die cut from Cat Scrappiness. This is her Wonky Stitch nested die, and Jamie has this in the Not Too Shabby shop as well. And as you can see, I cut several of these, and I did this before I actually cut the die cut apart, and so I would have the frames. And I'm also using 2 sheets of acetate that are cut slightly smaller than the frame, and the green piece of paper or piece of cardstock is 9x4. So what I did to start off the shaker card is I literally layered about 8 pieces of that frame. I'm going in this route instead of putting foam tape on my shaker today. So about 8 layers. Normally I've only been doing 6, but my shaker elements are a little bit thicker in this card, so I discovered that 8 would probably work a little bit better. And if you choose to, you can use foam tape. I find sometimes when I use that, I have a lot of gaps and some of my little seed beads and stuff seep out. So the last few shaker cards that I've made it this way. Right now I'm using a used dryer sheet to dust off the cat hair probably, and also help a little bit with that static that that happens when you put these cards together with the elements. And this is Honeybee Stamps Black and Boo Sequence Mix, and then just another little mix that I had in my stash already. I'm just filling up the shaker card, which as you can see, I put the acetate already on one side of my frame, and then I used the frame cover and put the acetate on the inside of that, and I'm just adding that together, and I'm making my shaker like this. And that way I find that it's all nice and contained, and now I don't have to worry about all those little elements seeping out and getting stuck to my fingers and all of that fun stuff. So now I cut a piece of 110-pound cardstock to just, again, a little bit smaller than that frame. I don't have any specific measurement because I literally just made it a little bit smaller than that frame. And I'm inking this up with some Mowed Lawn Oxide ink. And then I'm going to grab Lawn Fawn's Grassy Hillside Stencils and use a little bit of black soot to add a little bit of that grassy hills on there. And I'm not trying to make it look too fancy right now because I am going to go over later with all the black soot, and you'll see it kind of looks like a hot mess right now, but it will come out in the long run and actually look like a dark night background. And so I'm using a heavier hand right now when applying the black soot because I want to be able to see the details of the grass blades. And I pointed out that you have to make sure, because there is like a negative and like a negative side and then a not negative side. So you have to just make sure that you want the grass blades to go up and not down. So I had to just make sure that I did that. And then this is just a stencil that I often use in my videos that I've cut from a Lawn Fawn cloud stencil. And I just did it on cardstock. And I've just repeatedly used that over and over for my cards on my sky. So nothing fancy. And I use mustard seed for that yellow and wilted violet for the purple. And now I'm using a light hand with the black soot. As you can see, I actually loaded up my inking tool and then I put it onto my work surface to get most of the ink off. And I'm just trying to make it a little bit more subtle color and tone it down and make it look like it's a nighttime scene. Now I'm going to splatter some Distress White paint onto my card. I made a mistake right here. I should have really covered up that grass because, you know, I was trying to go for like a starry look And, there's probably no stars in the grass, but, it'll be fine. And now I'm using a little bit of Lawn Fawn Liquid Stardust to also put some cosmic splatter on there. And I just put it on an acrylic block and use a old paintbrush and literally just splatter it on. And now I'm using a little bit of water to distress that a little bit more. And it's got a nice little cosmic shimmery background now. And now I'm going to use the stamps on Copic friendly paper and ink, or with Copic friendly ink, and just use my Misty. And I'm also using the moon from Lawn Fawn's Haunted House, I believe it is. I will have that linked below. And just inking that up with some Lawn Fawn ink. And I use a Misty because I'm not the best stamper, so this way it allows me to do it more than once and get some nice crisp clear images. So now I sped this up quite a bit because there's a lot of coloring involved in this, but I enjoy this part of my card making. I love the coloring, and I've actually taken a few classes here and there and trying to get a little bit better at the skill. Just like anything in life, even coloring, you can always practice and learn. And I love learning, so it's fun to me to take classes and learn. So right now I wanted the cauldron to be a warmer gray, so I'm using my W group of grays, the warm grays, and using a little bit of bright green for those bubbles in that cauldron the poor witch fell into. So I think she crashed her broom and went head over heels and fell into the spell that was being cooked in the cauldron. Yeah, we'll go with it. But it's not hot, so she's going to be fine. And I love her stylish stocking set she's got going on. I absolutely love Halloween colors. I love purple and orange and green together. So this is one of my favorite times of year to create because, like I said, though, that color combination is pretty fun. And yeah, it's pretty hard to get away with that combination on other seasons. So now for the witches on their outfits and stuff, I wanted to use a cooler gray. And right here I'm testing out something that I had never tried before. I knew that the moon was going to be glowing down, so I wanted to put a little bit of that yellow moon glow in there. So I was just showing you how I was testing on the extra part of the cardstock and seeing what color yellow I wanted to do that with. And I settled with a Y11, just a little subtle hint of that instead of leaving it white. And I really did like that look, and I did that on the other witches as well. And for all my colors, you can see I'm trying to keep all my caps up for you. Sometimes I forget, so if there is something that you have a question about, please write and ask. And now I'm just using some Ys for those stars. And let me tell you, behind me, my household has just exploded because my girls just got home from a soccer game. And so things are a little bit noisy. I always say I need to have like a little red light on in the craft room door, which is now my bedroom door. If you follow me on my YouTube channel, you'll know that I just combined our bedroom with my craft room. So I basically gave up my nice bedroom and my craft room because my teenage daughters got to the point where sharing a room was really no longer feasible in our household. So if anybody else has teenage daughters, they totally understand that. So we are definitely still in the midst of changing everything and organizing, and it's getting a little bit easier, but as I craft, sometimes I still can't find some things, and it's a little frustrating, but I'll get there. I'm just trying to keep up with, getting my all my bedroom stuff in order, and yeah, crazy times, but what are you gonna do? And so you can see with this witch, I'm working on my cool grays blend, and I'm just also paying attention to where the cast shadows may be, and that's something that I'm trying to learn and get better at. Again, like I said, practice. I had a lot of fun with these witches, like I said, because of the color scheme and designing their little clothes was fun. I try to keep each one of them. I wasn't sure at first. I thought, well, maybe this could be like a sequence of events that, she's flying and then she kind of crashes and then she's out of the thing, out of the cauldron. But then I decided, no, these are just three sister witches and they're all having different types of days. And so I wanted their stockings to all match, but yet be different. So that's what I worked on with them. And yeah, I like to give my cards a little story. I don't always tell everybody the story, but I have them in my mind. I don't know, does that make me a little strange? Maybe. But yeah, I'll go with it. We'll say that crafty minds can be a little bit odd, but makes us more interesting, right? And now I'm working on the hair, and I used like a little blue shadow in order, or a highlight, blue highlight on her dark hair, which I like. I like the way that came out. And again, that's another thing that I've been working on is hair. I've been kind of like, I watch a lot of YouTube channels, and I'm obsessed with how people do Copic marker hair coloring. Yeah, so another thing about me. So I feel very, very fortunate that Jamie from Not Too Shabby asked me to be October's guest designer. But there's a way for you to be a guest designer as well. What you need to do is participate in a card challenge that Not Too Shabby hosts monthly. And what they do is they put out a mood board, and you use inspiration from the mood board to make a card. And this month they actually have a really fabulous mood board because we're back to the whole fall color thing that I absolutely love. They have a plaid design and just a lot of those oranges and reds and browns. So a lot of really nice inspiration on that board. So definitely go check it out. I will have their shop and blog linked below. So make sure you go check that out if you're interested in participating in that challenge. What challenges often do too is get your mojo going. That's when I started my YouTube channel. I participated in several different challenges because it gave me that deadline and it just got my mojo going. Sometimes it made you think outside the box and pick colors that you may not. So it's fun. I love participating in challenges. So make sure you check that out. Like I said, I will have that linked below. And now getting back to our little witch coloring. This witch I gave red hair, and she's going to be flying directly into that moon. So I wanted to make sure that her highlights were coming from that area. So I made sure that I put pretty strong highlights there in the front with that Y11, which is a yellow. And now I'm just going to color those brooms. I did them the same exact way, each of them. I figured they went to the same broom store together, the girls shop together. You can also see my Copic marker chart beside me, and I often do reference that for colors. I don't do a card without pulling that chart out. So that's just a little tip if you have Copic markers, no matter how many you have or what color sets, it's always nice just to put that on there so you can look and compare and make sure it's the color that you want. So I have a Brother Scan and Cut, and so I'm going to cut these images out. But before I did, I wanted to cut out this Happy Halloween sentiment. So I just took my pencil and traced around it where I wanted it to cut, and then I used a darker pen afterwards, and then it did cut that out on that line. So now I'm going to assemble my card. You can see my background is all nice and dry, and I'm going to go ahead and attach the shaker element to that background. Again, this is the way I like to do it, and now I don't have to worry about all the little elements getting out everywhere. And it's got a good seal, so see, you can just shake everywhere. Now I'm going to attach the whole piece to a 9x4 piece of cardstock, and I use liquid glue so I have that little wiggle room. And now I'm going to start assembling my card. I still can't stop playing with the shaker, but it's a fun thing to do. So now I'm deciding how I want my witch sisters to be. I knew that the one was going to be on the top for sure, and then my little crash victim on the bottom. She's going to have her broom and her hat next to her where they landed. Just attach those again with some liquid glue. You can see, just wiggling that around. And I decided that my Happy Halloween needed to have a little color in it, so I used a Copic marker and just colored that in to match the Copic marker scheme on the purple that I had already used, the V's. I believe my go-to seems to be V12, V15, and V17. I used the V15 right in the middle for that sentiment. And you see me wiggling my fingers a lot. I tend to do that. I notice that in videos. It's because I get glue on the tips of my fingers, and so I think I'm like rolling up the glue, and so I notice that I do that a lot. Oh, the things that yeah. Okay, so I got a little bit of the extra glue there, and I just used a rubber eraser to get that off. And now, oh, I fooled you. I used a V12 to do that sentiment. I got a little ahead of myself there, sorry. Just attach that there. And now I'm going to finish off the card with a few little embellishments, just for a little bit of extra interest and bling. You know, you can't get enough of the bling. I'm just playing with some placement. Just using a little liquid glue and sticking those right back down. And there we go. And now I'm going to attach this to, actually, you know what? That piece of cardstock, I'm sorry, it was a 8 3/4 by, I'll write this down on the bottom, but it's 8 3/4 by 3 3/4 because then my card base is 9 by 4. So I apologize for the miscalculations of my card panel. And thank you so much to my model Boo, my little black cat that I thought was great for this card today. And thank you so much to Jamie from Not Too Shabby for inviting me to be October's guest designer. I really appreciate it. This was so much fun, and I love Halloween. I haven't gotten enough of it yet, so guess what? I will be back next week for another Happy Halloween card for you. And perhaps Boo will help me out again. He looked a little bit like Mom. I've had enough right at that point. So thank you, everybody. Please stop by the shop and see all of that Jamie has to offer. I think you would be super pleasantly surprised. And if you haven't subscribed, please click subscribe and like below. And I always enjoy hearing from everybody. So drop me a little note. I appreciate it. Thank you and happy crafting.